Don't you ever have any problems?
I have one now.
So do I.
Tell me about it.
Hi, we're doing a 3-part series on health and marriage, how being in health and out of health affects the marriage. So this is video number 2.
In this video, we're looking at when illness arrives, but more specifically, that the fact that there is an age where women begin to get sick. Married or not, of course, they begin to get sick. And that age gap is around 30 to 35. That's when certain illnesses start to show up. And a lot of those illnesses are hormone based. The thing about them is that they will arrive kind of secretly, because what happens is that in your marriage, people change, men and women change. But these illnesses, they kind of creep up.
Change how? Physically, mentally, emotionally?
Physiologically, emotionally, mentally, needs-based, stuff like that. And with some of these changes, they can be negative changes. And they will take their toll inside the body and they will come out. So, for example, a lot of the diseases that are taking place with women at that age, that's the age you've got to look out for, they're hormone-based, especially for women. And so this is when the fibroids start showing up and the hormone imbalances start showing up. How does that affect the relationship?
How does it affect the relationship?
It means that the women will typically drive the men mad, isn't it? So, you know, this is where the pressure from... I want to say something.
I'm laughing, but I'm not laughing.
You are laughing.
I'm not.
You said what was the question?
I can't remember. Because the hormones have taken over.
So sometimes the hormones can just take over, you know, and they can really determine the outcome of a lot of situations unnecessarily. But we're talking about the real negative effect, because you can't avoid the hormonal factor. You've just got to manage it a lot better with a lot of choices that we make. Why are you laughing?
I'm just thinking about managing my hormones. Go on.
Yeah, so this is the age, and a lot of women are really... We're looking at women first, by the way, but a lot of women are having their wombs taken out unnecessarily because they're just not aware of how to manage their bodies and manage their health naturally.
How would you manage a hormonal situation naturally? Painful periods, for example.
Yeah.
Or something like fibroids.
Well, yeah. So if a woman has painful menstruation or prolonged menstruation or...
Prolonged is?
Like longer than a week.
Okay.
Longer than 6 days. Mm-hmm. Or if the pain is severe and it's been like that, usually it's like that from the first time they start. That's a sign that in the future it's going to be a lot worse, or you're going to have an ailment as a result, like fibroids and polycystic ovaries. These pressures are crazy on a marriage. They're just unnecessary. So again, we're looking at this and how it affects marriage, because hormones affect women far more than a man. Or they're seen far more than a man. So I got your eyes burning me.
Even though I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
So
how would you manage that? I've got a couple of tips, I guess. Mm-hmm. Don't eat too much.
What's too much? I mean, I've just come from a long day at work. Lunch was early at 12:30.
Yeah.
And it's now 6 o'clock. I'm having my evening meal. I need some food. And I need quite a bit of it to take me through to the next morning.
Yeah, my advice is that every woman should be like having 50-60% raw food on their plate. That will stop you from overeating. Especially if you eat the raw food first, that is your safeguard. That is one of the greatest safeguards you have, you know. But the problem starts at the beginning of the day, because a lot of people don't eat breakfast. If you're a teacher or a nurse, it's classic. They don't eat breakfast. They'll have a coffee, and then they will eat everything near the end of the day when the stress is coming off. And so that puts a lot of pressure on the body, creates toxins and creates imbalances in all the glands. And then the hormones don't flow, the liver gets clogged. And so you've got to start the day properly and consciously. You know what I mean? You've got to have a drink, then eat some fruits with your cereal or whatever you're having for breakfast, and then try your best to have a lunch. Try your best, and in the latter part of the day, you don't need to eat so much. That will save you a lot of problems. Just that, it's very underrated, but it will save a lot of problems. Mm-hmm. So what happens is, with these imbalances, fibroids will develop because the hormonal balance is way off. It's a very common thing, especially in the black community. You know, there's a lot of heavy food at night.
And that is you would say, is a contributing factor to having stuff like fibroids.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to reverse these hormonal issues, you've got to free the system up. You've got to put in what it needs, and you've got to clean it out. And one of the things you have to stop doing is you have to stop eating late. You have to do it. It's a major silent killer.
What happens to the man if the woman is experiencing something like this? How does he think and feel?
Well, good question. That is a good question. The man, he's probably on the opposite spectrum in terms of hormonal issues. You wouldn't see it straight away. So he's going to be in a different place mentally, sexually, emotionally. And while she's over there in pain for the last 2 weeks, or recovering on the 3rd week from the 2 weeks of bleeding, he's going to get sexually frustrated, or he's just going to have less faith in who you are for him. Who can you be for him? And that's just a snapshot of how men might be feeling and thinking, you know. It will breed frustration.
Maybe he wants that baby as well.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you're not saying that this is the cure for not being able to get pregnant, but it's one factor. It's a very common factor. But he might be, or you both might be, trying to get pregnant, but you have no idea what you're really doing to stop that. And you can spend thousands on IVF and stuff, which is hopefully it'll work for you. But what are you doing? What are you doing to yourself that is blocking that? This is about opening our eyes. This is pressures. These things that you just mentioned, it's immense pressure on a relationship. Immense pressure. How would a woman feel if she knew that she just physically isn't in an emotional or mental, physical position to just look after her man as much as she could? How much she'd be thinking?
I'm imagining that she would be feeling inadequate, not enough, feeling quite low about it, down and maybe even slightly depressed. The fact that she feels that she's not being all that she cracked up to be. And it's not even that there was any deception involved or anything like that. It's just that she felt ill, which is kind of standard on planet Earth. But there are stuff that we can do to avoid getting further into ill health and moving towards health. So that's why we're doing videos like this. It's always about improvement of one's relationships, and we're looking at the stuff in the peripheral that affect people's relationships, even though it's something that we don't usually consider. So I think that she would be having feelings of definitely feeling inadequate and feeling like a failure, or even very much like a burden as well.
How does that affect the relationship, you think?
I think she should be carrying around that kind of baggage, which would be definitely felt that she feels that she's a letdown. It would be definitely experienced in communication. It would be experienced in lovemaking. It would be experienced in just everyday living. How she feels about herself would definitely be reflected in the relationship.
So these all these negative feelings then are just going to compile. So if you feel bad, you're going to make bad decisions, and depression makes you go in a cycle of negativity. So you're just making another bad decision, another bad decision. It's like a vortex. You have to break out, and I think that one of the ways you do that is to just simply embrace one good habit. In fact, if you want to know more, you can go to theoriginalplan.org. I have a free online course that talks exactly about this topic, cause and remedy. But for a relationship, if you're going through anything like this, our encouragement is to do something about it. Do what it takes. We do it naturally. We believe in it naturally. But we're encouraging you that you don't need that extra pressure on your marriage or relationship. Do something now to save it, because life is always going to throw stuff at us. We need to be the best we can be to kind of defend ourselves and be victorious. Yeah. Done?
Okay. You can end this time.
Yeah. What do I do?
You put your 2 fingers in it. You don't have to make it girly. You can make it manly, like just say. You can spud it if you want.
I'm gonna end this one, yeah. And my wife is asking me to end it, so
You don't have to.
I'm not doing that girly thing.
No.
So I'm just gonna say, love never fails, yeah. Love never fails, yeah.
What's the other bit?
Stay the course. Love never fails, yeah.